Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Jennifer Randive, and I'm so happy to be live with you, lovely people around the world. So, for everyone who's joining in, good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, wherever you are. And today I'm going to be speaking, and I've been invited to speak about your brilliance. Your unique brilliance makes all the difference. So I wanted to actually have a pretty interactive webinar because otherwise I feel as though I'm talking to myself. So I'm going to be having uh, speaking points, and I'm also going to be asking everyone to join in with their questions because I believe that's the best way we can interact with one another. So, having said that, my name is Jennifer, and I'm here to present something that has been very close to my heart. And why do I say that? It's because I have experienced quite a lot of shift and change going on in my life and for a very long time. And most of us actually look at change as being quite weird. So the question over here is how many of you are actually experiencing something that is not quite right or you think is not quite right now? I like to hear what it is that people are saying. Do you feel confused sometimes? Do you feel frustrated? Do you feel overwhelmed? Are you trying to fix things and yet not having any results? But then you've got to be that tough person and you really want it to work. But at the end of the day, it's still turning out to be a very, very rough situation for you. So, how many of you are actually experiencing that right now? Can anyone say anything over there? Is anyone experiencing this sort of scenario going on right now? I'd love for everyone to interact if you can. It'll be wonderful. Anyone? If you're having a rough time, you're confused, you're frustrated, you're overwhelmed, you're irritated, would you like to say something about, hi, Lucy, how are you doing? So, are you feeling something of the sort? Are you upset? Are you overwhelmed? Because you know what? It's not only me who has been through that. I think many people are going through that. Hi, Claudia. I just wanted to check how many of us actually experience this, but tend to hide it because we don't want to be seen as, not being in control, not being in charge, right? So most of us actually spend our life. You know why I say that? And why am I sharing this? Is simply because I was that person. I used to try and be the best. I used to try and do things that were, had to be perfect. I didn't want to make any mistakes. And so, what was happening in the background was that I was getting upset and I was getting worried and I was getting frustrated and overwhelmed. So, if anyone has actually experienced that, I'd like you to say, yes, me too, in the chat. Okay? So that we all know that we're on the same wavelength. So, why did I want to actually create a program like this? It's simply because when I was experiencing a lot of shift and change happening, and I had personal shifting and professional shifting happening at the same time, and I wanted to actually find out why this was happening, what was going on, and I truly went into trying to fix things. So, how many of you try to fix things when things are not working for you? Let me have a show of hands. How many of you like to fix things? Just say, I'm a fix it. Just write fix it in the chat. All right, I stand. Okay, so we all want to fix it. And there's nothing wrong with trying to fix it. But the question is, are we trying to fix it by doing the same thing over and over again? You've heard about the hamster wheel, jumping on the hamster wheel, trying to do the same thing over and over and over again. and yet you're not getting anywhere, right? So, how many of us actually experience that? Thanks, Nancy. So, how many of us experience trying to fix things and they're still not working? And how many of us actually are looking at really wanting to make a difference and desperately trying to do that, but with all of the stuff that's going on, we find it actually extremely challenging. So, can you all write challenge if you're experiencing challenge? Because all of us have experienced challenges. And there's one thing that I'd like everyone to be very open and connecting with me is like there is nothing wrong with feeling challenged. It's only when we feel challenged that we are given that wake up and shake up call to say, yo, what's happening here? Focus on something. What are you doing? And then we start wanting to make a difference. We try to approach things differently. So, coming back to my story, when I was in that predicament, I actually went into looking at how things were working in my company, looking at how things were going. So everything was done, and I'm quite sure everyone here who's an amazing entrepreneur or in business has always worked with policies and procedures and structures, and that's how it's supposed to be done, right? And there's nothing wrong in doing that. But there comes a time, and that's what happened with me. I was doing everything to the T, to perfection. You see, I was a corporate junkie. I'm quite sure many of you are here too. But, I was a corporate junkie and I wanted to have everything perfect because in the corporate world, you cannot afford to make mistakes, right? Because if you did make a mistake, how would people see you? How would they look at you? So if you have actually had that, thanks, Claudia. If you've actually had that happening with you, if you can not feel ashamed about the fact that you have made a mistake, that's the first step of being kind to yourself. Because this is what happens, okay? And it's happened with me. I used to want everything to be perfect, but what happened was the things were shifting and changing, like they're changing now, okay? But I wanted to maintain the same status quo. I wanted to do things just the way they were because I thought I had to have all the answers, right? How many of you have can put your hand up and say, I had to have all the answers too because I'm running my business and it has to be perfect. If you have, please put your hands up or say perfect in the comments. So when that was happening, there was a lot of discomfort. I started falling sick because it was like, what on earth are you doing? Are you trying to do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result? I mean, I had heard about Albert Einstein, but I didn't think that it's going to happen with me. So essentially, what occurred was I went into judging myself, making myself wrong. So what I did is I went and called the experts. Being a CEO, calling someone from outside to evaluate you sometimes may be an extremely vulnerable position, but I had had it. I didn't want to actually carry on doing the same thing and experiencing no change, right? So I called in the amazing consultants and asked them to evaluate me as a boss, as a CEO. And they came in, I gave them complete carte blanche. They went, they spoke to my staff, to my clients, they checked my operating systems, financial systems, everything. And they came back to me after 2 weeks and they said, we can't find anything wrong. You seem to have created all your policies and procedures and everything with, excuse me, my apologies, I just put my phone off. You seem to have created everything um, like an art form. And I thought to myself, like an art form, okay. What did you find? And they said, we can't find anything wrong. Everyone talks very highly about you. The systems are working in perfect order. Everything is perfect and we cannot see anything wrong. But I thanked them and I said, okay, thank you very much. But I was not happy at all with all of this conversation. I used to be in recruitment, everybody, executive search and selection. I did that for 15 years. And I used to ask questions for a living. And I did not ask me any questions. So that's where the journey started of me. Instead of waiting from the outside for people to check out who I was and what I did, I thought I'd ask myself a couple of questions to find out what was going on. This is what I discovered. Jennifer had been successful as a businesswoman. Jennifer was successful as a mom because I have a daughter who's with Down syndrome. She got a job and she started working, right? So I was a success as a mom, success as a business person. But was I a success within me? Or was there time for me to shift and change who I was and what I was doing? Those are the questions I asked me. So if you all are experiencing anything that is causing confusion, that is causing overwhelm, I think it's time for us to sit ourselves down and really ask this kind of questions. Okay. So having said that, I had to change my complete operating system. I don't do recruitment anymore because, interestingly, at the time that I was wanting to shift and change, there was a big shift and change in how recruitment was going to be done in the country, and the policies and procedures changed. And I actually shifted from being a recruiter to being a change management consultant. Okay, that's what I do today. Is it fun? Definitely. I flipped the tables around. I first used to put people in organizations. Today, I have organizations keep their people. Isn't that interesting? I find that fulfilling. I work with CEOs, I work with individuals, I mentor them, I create engagement models for them, but that's all about me. My question is about you. How many of you would like to actually become that brilliance that you truly are? And my question is, what is stopping you? Can you all just write a couple of things? What is stopping you from being this awesome individual that you are? Or you don't think you are? What is stopping you? Is it fear? Is it fear of success? Is it fear of failure? Is it fear of what people might think of you? What is it for you? Ah, there we go. Thanks, Karen. So, if you did not even check on what it is that you were fearful about, how would you know? So, this is what is going to happen. So, we start off a new project. We know that we can do it, we can feel it in our whole body, and yet we don't step into it. Why? Because we have this is where our mind plays an amazing amount of tricks. And I love what Wilma has put at the back, mind as a maze. It's so true. Because now I'm going to take you into what may be stopping you. How many of you are interested in actually knowing that? How many of you really want to know if your mind is stopping you? And what works? How does the mind work? I feel stuck and I don't see a clear direction to move in. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Lucy. Okay, so let's look at this. We all have operating systems. Okay, our mind also is an operating system. Okay, most of the time, what we are doing is, as we are children from the age of 1 to 7, this is how our mind actually collects all the information that is going on around the house. Mom is talking, dad is talking, grandma's there, aunts, uncles, the whole 9 yards. We keep hearing things and hearing things and hearing things all the time as children. And we are in a theta brainwave. That means we are like a sponge at that time. What we do is we absorb everything. Okay, and this goes on for a good 7 years. We are not trying to make any rational choices or decisions at that time. As kids, we are taking in everything that is coming into us. What happens then? At the age of 10 and 12, we start looking around and wondering, okay, he's saying that, she's saying that, this is what I'm feeling. And you're feeling things, but you're not being able to articulate it. You don't know what's going on, right? And so now we tend to conform. So we've taken all that information that is in our mind that we've collected, and now it becomes our own. And when it's becoming our own, what are we experiencing? We start operating with that being the platform to launch ourselves. So now we go into the workplace. Okay, we're going to start a business. We're going to do whatever. But now, all those interesting thoughts that trigger those feelings that make us work and show up the way that we are start showing up. So you have all of these things that are going on, and you have no idea as to why on earth this is happening. You know something is not working. You want to start a business, but now it's not working. So let me show you how it actually functions. So the mind now is divided into two. That's the way I look at it. You have the top quadrant and you have the lower quadrant. The part that is down, which is called the subconscious mind, is actually got all your programming there. Whatever you heard from mom, dad, grandparents, teachers, whoever, is all over there, right there. And it is so strongly fixed because that's what it is that we allowed for it to actually be in there. And we're trying on the outside to try and look at it and go, okay, fine. But you can't see it because it's concealed, right? But you experience it. So this is what I'm talking about. The energy that we are putting in to try and fight what's happening on the outside to try and fix us doesn't really work because what needs to change is what we have on the inside. Okay, so now your thoughts, feelings, and emotions are functioning based on the paradigms that you have installed in your subconscious mind. So it actually can't change. So it would be like if you wanted to change something, like you want to change your hairstyle, instead of brushing your hair here, you're going to the mirror and trying to brush it there. Doesn't really change. Same way, if you want to change the music on your tape recorder or your music system, you've got to actually choose what it is you want to change and then press the remote for it to change. It can't change by itself. Probably now with AI, you don't know what's going to happen. They probably will have a fix it for that. But having said that, we as individuals really do not know how to change things. So now, if you want to uncover and discover our unique brilliance, which actually makes all the difference, where do we start? The starting point is for us to become aware, to become self aware as to how things are going on. And this requires you to first acknowledge, first and foremost, the first step is acknowledge that something is not working. Don't just go blindly into, okay, I'm going to try and fix it. It's not going to work. Acknowledge. First thing is acknowledgement. Acknowledging that something is not right. Asking questions, okay, so what's not working here and why is it not working? What's going on? What we're trying to cover in this webinar, which is a very short time, is going to be what is it that we can change and how do we recognize that something really needs changing? As I mentioned before, it's the subconscious that's running the show. Okay? How do we get to the subconscious? Is a question. You have to ask questions. Remember, I told you I used to ask questions for a living. I had to learn how to ask questions of myself. And they're going to be uncomfortable. Sometimes you will not want to hear what you're saying. But also remember this that when you are questioning yourself on something that's not working, for example, you have uh, a new project that you want to launch, or you've launched it already, and it's not doing very well. And you're wondering, I put everything there. I put the correct strategy, I put the correct information, I sent out the invitation. Everything was looking absolutely perfect, but something was not. Just didn't work. Was it technological problems? Could be. But what else was it? The questions that you need to ask is, was the technology okay? Was the systems working okay? Was my content okay? Was the message that I wanted to share, was that okay? Was it well received? What else can I add to it? What else can I do to it? And Claudia says here the most difficult part is that journey of self discovery. Well, hopefully, Claudia, I'm actually going to give you a couple of tools to make that journey not so difficult. And why is it difficult? This is the question. Why is the journey so difficult? Thank you, Claudia, for that, because you have taken me to a different way of addressing it. So, why is it difficult, the self discovery? Because we have bought into whatever it is that we have in our mind is the right thing. And if we don't follow that, then we're wrong. Now, the question is, are you wrong? Or is the experience that you had not quite right for you? Because we get confused. We think that when we have done something or have experienced something, then the experience is us. No, you are the creator of that experience. That is something that you must try to differentiate. You created that. You are the creator of your reality. You created that experience. That experience is not you. So now, who is the chief executive officer, the chief operating officer of your life? You are. So recognizing that the experience that you created did not work. So now who's going to call the shots? You are. Are you the creator of that experience? Yes. Can you create another experience? Yes or no? Will you be willing to create another experience? That requires you to get out of your head, not to judge you. Because when you are judging you for any experience, you are stopping all creativity. If you're judging you for anything, so if you're judging you, you're judging someone else, or you're judging something else, you are stopping the creativity to flow because your mind will take over, and because you've given it the authority to take over, to stop in your tracks. So when you have got all your barriers up, can anything new show up? Can anything new show up if you've got your barriers up? If you've got the door shut to the universe, can any new suggestions or creativity or innovation show up? Anyone would like to answer that? Can anything new show up if you've shut the door of the universe? Not really, right? So, judgment is the number one killer of any new possibility to show up. It just kills it completely because you see, you are in charge of your outcomes. The universe will not come in and actually say, no, do it this way. It will give suggestions, it will give reminders, it will make you feel uncomfortable. When you're doing the same thing over and over again and you're feeling discomfort, that is the universe trying to give you a nudge for you to budge and do something different. But are we willing to be silent enough to actually receive those nudges and budges? I'd done a presentation. Unfortunately, I can't share it, but hopefully, Wilma myself will come around this thing. And my complete, we need to be open to all opportunities. Great. That's correct, Lucy. So throughout my presentation, I've got this feather. Okay, and my question to everyone at the end was going to be, why do you see a feather as part of my presentation? The simple reason is that any new thing coming in, any new awakening, for us to become more self aware, it seems like a feather's touch. It's not in your face. It's like a gentle thing. It touches you and moves away, touches you and moves away. The question is, are you willing to receive that touch? I know I didn't, because I had to have everything right. I was Miss Corporate Fix It. I had to have all the answers. And I'm quite sure that is what everyone was taught. You can't fail. If you fail, what will people think of you? Right? So what if failure was the the step for you to be totally uncomfortable with yourself? It's only when you're in discomfort can you actually grow. Then something new comes into the flow. Okay. So now, once we get to really uncovering what is stopping us, we can then and then only discover something new that will show up. So let me share with you what I mean by that. So all of us over here are brilliant at something or the other. Can each one of you tell me in the chat, what do you think you are amazing at? Claudia, what are you amazing at? Karen, what are you amazing at? Lucy, what are you amazing at? Put in the chat. Let's all hear. What is it that you're amazing at? I'd love some interaction. What do you all think you're amazing at? Or good at? We don't want to say amazing. What are you good at? Marketing, communications, negotiations, international relations, management. So, all of these things, if we are good at, and now we are trying to shift a job or shift a company or do a new project. I'm good at sales. Great, Karen. So, if you're good at sales, Karen, could you do sales in any setup, in any discipline? Would you be able to sell anything? Karen, would you be able to build relationships anywhere you went? That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Karen and Claudia. Okay. So now, if you are in sales and you are in international relations or maintaining whatever, would you be able to shift and change the industry? Because those are your innate capacities and abilities. That's where your brilliance is. Will you be able to shift how you do things in a different industry or a different company or in a different project? Because we carry those innate abilities and capacities. That's what it is that we're looking at today. How to figure that out? You cannot figure it out if you're stuck with what you think that you're doing is the only way, the right way, the perfect way, and there's no other way, right? So we would like to actually look at that carefully. Start asking questions. Am I stuck? Why am I stuck? Is it my way of operating that is sticking me, or is it someone else's way of operating? Because how are we functioning right now? Our functioning modus operandi is we are constantly reacting to what's happening outside. Thank you, Lucy. We are amazing at what is reacting to what's happening outside. So saying this is how the company is doing, this is what they're saying about my presentations, this is how it is they're looking at me. Oh, I'm not valuable. Oh, so can you see that your whole trajectory is facing outward of what people are saying about you? In fact, everyone is doing that without exception. Why is that? Simply because you would like to be known, you would like to be appreciated, you'd like to be validated, you'd like to be celebrated, right? But how many times are you going to try and shift and change with what expectations from outside are? It becomes very difficult because no matter how much you try and please the outside, you still are not going to be 100% making them 100% happy. Have you tried that? Because that's exactly what's going on. You cannot please everybody. So, what we have been taught is that we have to be kind, we have to be considerate, we have to please everybody. So, we all end up as children growing up. You must do this, you must do that. If you don't do this, then this is not right. You must help people, you must whatever, whatever, whatever. So, we are operating in that vibration constantly of having to please people. The question I want to ask is, are you pleasing you? Is it time for you, instead of reacting to what's happening on the outside, try and look at what is going on the inside? Because unless you do not know who you are and what your awesome, brilliant capacities, abilities, and skills are, you will keep trying to fix things over and over again. So now, would you all like to have some kind of exercises where we've got, I think, 10 minutes more, and I'd love to be able to answer questions. So I would love people to put in their questions. Ah, there we go, Lucy. And can you see how difficult it is to please everyone? Because if we try and please them with one thing, they're not going to be happy with something else, right? We have any questions? Please share them. Stan from, okay, business for, okay, you're a business of technology. Great. Then you would be an amazing person to try and help people who are like me. We're not all that good, and Vilma does a great job of helping me out. I have to still learn. Okay, so Claudia says it is very common mistake to make want to please our surroundings first, even at the expense of many thoughts and feelings. Okay, so again, Claudia, where did we learn that? It came from our childhood. Our parents used to do that. Our elders used to do that. And you know what? It is nothing wrong. They were using the tools that they had and they were taught during their period of time. They passed it on to us. But we are now grown up enough to know, and that's why we're having this conversation. We have to become aware that those kind of ways of operating are not working anymore. In fact, they're not working for us. So, are we willing to shift and change that? Is the question. The one thing I love to share all the time is change is constant, but changing is a personal choice. So we don't want to be like the hamsters on the wheel going round and round and getting nowhere. We want to uncover and discover who we are. The first step to actually do it is to recognize where it is that you feel stuck. Now, you may want to do this alone, and that's okay. I know I did that. I didn't waste time. I just wanted to get to know. So I traveled and all over the world to get to know how I can get to myself, which I did. And essentially, it is about, would you like to be vulnerable enough to actually find out where it is that you're stuck? Would you honor yourself with that vulnerability? And anyone who says that vulnerability is a weakness, I'd ask you to please consider that vulnerability is honestly the most powerful space for any human being to be in. Because that's where all your barriers get down and you recognize that everything you've done is an experience. You are not the experience, yet you're powerful that you created it. So the question is, what creation tools are you using or refusing that keeps you stuck and not being able to move forward? Please ask questions. I like to answer them. Anyone who wants to ask questions. I work with people who are stuck at levels where they are going on, their CEOs, their business owners, they are individuals who have reached the ceiling of where they are right now and don't seem to be able to go anywhere. So I work with them one on one to uncover and discover their unique brilliance. So, having said that, I'm going to give you a couple of tools. When you believe and acknowledge, it's only when you can acknowledge that you're stuck, there are a couple of things you've got to do. You've got to look at, write down, what do you feel is keeping you stuck? Please put through everything what it is that you have done and try and see where it is, what it is you've done, and how it is, and where it is you have gotten stuck. Getting stuck is absolutely a position where you have to acknowledge it. No one can come from outside and acknowledge it for you. Okay, it is your personal journey. You need to recognize it. When you can recognize it, then you have clarity. See, without clarity, questioning is number one, receiving the clarity is number two. When you have clarity, like, oh, I'm stuck here, I do not know how to take this forward, then you go to people and ask for help. But unless you don't acknowledge the fact that you are stuck, nothing can change. Okay? So once you're there and you acknowledge the fact that something's not working, work with yourself or ask. You've got amazing mentors and coaches around in the world who can help you. But please choose the mentors and coaches who are not going to tell you what to do, but are going to ask you questions. Why do I say that? Because when people are telling you what you need to do, they are forcing their point of view onto you. And you do not want that happening. You want people to ask questions like, what is stopping you? How do you think you could have done it better? Where did you see the challenges? What challenges did you face? Is this a possibility for you to structure what it is that you were doing in a different way? Because this is something that you all need to know. Each one of us already knows all of this. The problem is that we have not had powerful questioning tools to be able to draw this out from individuals. That is what we need to do. Okay, Rebecca, Jennifer, oh, gone. So everything that, okay, thank you from Rebecca. Throughout your journey, you have guided many individuals in uncovering their unique brilliance. What is the one question that you should need to ask daily? What's good about this I'm not getting? Can you please ask this question? What's good about all of this that I'm not getting? Because somewhere there is this amazing part of you that is doing things repetitively, but also making you wrong for it. Remember, I told you if you are in judgment of you, nothing can change. So, two questions you want to ask. What's good about this I'm not getting? And the second question is, what's good about me in this situation I'm not getting? You see, when you ask those questions, what happens is you immediately, like you have the dominoes effect, okay, and the dominoes keep falling. And then when you interrupt it, it's like an interrupter of any limitation when you ask these questions. It interrupts any limitation. Exactly. Those are the kind of questions that you need to ask. So now, Karen, just to ask you, Are you really stuck, or are you running the same interesting mind that you have of how things need to be? Are we open to change? Are we open to change? Or are we trying to fix what's on the outside and not looking on the inside? If there's any change to occur, ladies and gentlemen, please remember you are the creator of that change. You cannot change people on the outside. The only person that you can change is you. How many of us are willing to do that? God knows I had to go through what it is that I went through to be able to change and to get out of my own way. The easiest way to look at it is, are you in your way? Are you right now in your way, Karen? That's a very vulnerable question to ask yourself. Are you in your way? The question, do you want to change? First question, are you in your way? What's good about this situation I'm not getting? What's good? You didn't say bad, you said good. There's something good there. It eradicates all the judgment. Please use these tools, okay? They're really effective. Second question is, what's good about me in relationship to that, whatever the situations? The third question is, who can I bring on board who can show me how to do this better? Which means when you're asking that question, remember this, that you have to recognize that possibly you have been doing all of this stuff by yourself and you didn't have anyone there to help you. The question is, how has that worked for you? You can't change anything unless you change the way you think, because there are three things that happen, and I'm going to just show you. Jennifer, is discovering your brilliance something that just clicks, as it is a process that takes time? It doesn't take time, Lucy. The first thing that we have to do is to recognize that we are stuck. If you do not recognize that you're stuck, nothing will be able to change. Okay? When you're stuck, please ask those questions that I've just shared. What's good about this I'm not getting? What's good about me in this situation I'm not getting? Where is it that I'm sabotaging myself? Please ask these questions. And when you're asking these questions, you're not waiting for an answer. This is the part that is tricky. You're not waiting for an answer. You're waiting for an awareness that shows up as a gentle feather touch. Okay? And people who are skilled at doing this kind of work will be able to work. I work with energy and levels of consciousness. So when I'm working with clients, I can actually sense what it is that's going on. And I will not tell them, but I will question them, because it is everyone knows everything. It is the ability to question, to draw out from an individual, because when we are drawing out from each and every person, please remember that is where the unique brilliance is. You cannot have one size fits all. We've been trying to do this for a long time. It just doesn't work. When you're questioning your client, you're having a chat with them, you are asking them questions because they already know what it is. And when you're able to draw it out from them, that response is where the unique brilliance actually lies. And that is what we want to choose to uncover and discover in individuals. I'm afraid we haven't got time to go into more detail, but if anyone is interested in having a chat with me, Vilma and Dr. Rebecca, please please share my details so that I can have a more detailed discussion, or one-to-one, or a group discussion. I'll be very happy to do that. I believe we are coming. It's already 44 minutes. Uh, do I need to carry on? Does anyone have any questions? Please put them in the chat. Great, Claudia. If there's anything that I can assist with, please feel free to reach out. And at this particular point, I would just like to say, It is not important for us to have our barriers up and our shields up. When we're doing this kind of work, you're not a CEO, you're not a managing director, you're not the owner of a company, you're just an amazing individual who's looking at becoming a grander version of yourself. So please do not be hard on yourself. Please honor you, because only when you honor you can others honor you. So, starting immediately, I would like everyone to please look at you and how valuable you are. Don't try and fix things on the outside. Please try and get to know who you are on the inside. Because whatever's on the inside dictates what happens on the outside. So, having said that, thank you very much for the time that I've been able to spend with you. I do not know whether we can go on further, uh, but if there's anything that you all would like to ask, what's good about this? Thank you very much for sharing that. Also, you can add over there, Wilma, if you could add another question, and that would be, who can I be today that I was not yesterday? Who can I be today that I was not yesterday? And what would I like to change today that I did not know was possible yesterday? Okay. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a privilege to speak to an amazing audience. Thank you for coming in and listening. And unfortunately, I did not have the slides, but next time I promise we will have some more information that we can share with you. And if there's anything that I can help anyone with, please reach out. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. Rebecca already knows, and I'm very fortunate to be part of the Gulf Latin Chamber of Commerce, of which Rebecca is the president. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and have a pleasant evening. Good night.